What's up, Heard That Nation, listening in the United States and around the world. Those that are listening on the podcast, I appreciate you joining in. Those that are watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, share, click, join, because I promise you after today's show with today's guest, you're definitely going to want to let people know what is going on. And if you are a college hoops fan, this is like the best time of the year. It's like Christmas in March. And I know that people have their brackets and they're definitely going to want to say something after listening and watching today's show. I have on here with me the man from Newark, New Jersey, sports broadcaster for Ramapo Athletics, Eastside Basketball. And if you have Instagram, you definitely want to subscribe to, he is a co-host on a phenomenal show with three other gentlemen. It's the Gentleman's Corner live streaming. They talk about real issues, real topics. It is uncut. I appreciate everything that they talk about. They make it relatable in today's pandemic and beyond. The one and only Monty Moss joining the podcast. How you doing, sir?
First and foremost, good morning. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm really excited. I'm feeling good. I know previously before I hopped on this call that I know you would be fired up, so I'm feeding off your energy, but sooner or later that will switch. But I'm really blessed to be here. How are you doing?
I'm doing amazing. We were talking before we came on, the podcast started and the show started, and I want to get your take on it because I think you said some really good things going into this season and looking at what happened last season where we didn't have basketball, we didn't have one shining moment. We didn't have the where everybody gets hype and everything else. That completely got shut down, and we're almost at a year to the day, pretty much, where the new normal did take over for a lot of people and a lot of these students and a lot of student athletes. Mm-hmm. Looking at this season and seeing, some of these teams did have to cancel. They had to postpone their games and everything else. Did you think that it was going to be history repeating itself and that the season was going to shut down? What was your thoughts?
Early on, I'll be honest, I thought it was going to be a little bit of a repeat. But at the time, we were already so much deep in the pandemic with the months. And I knew with the resources that the NCAA has in their multi-billion-dollar enterprise that they would figure things out within different schools' athletic departments. Let's be honest, some athletic departments are more funded than others, especially the Power Fives. But once early on, the few games got postponed, I knew that they would possibly be rescheduled. But immediately when it came out that there would be no fans in the arenas throughout the whole college basketball season, it was a no-brainer that the season will play on because at the end of the day, you don't have, the outside fan base of, the city's fans that are in attendance night in and night out. And on top of that, their whole structure on quarantining and from game to practice, from practice to game, the structure that they put in place to the NCAA was pretty remarkable looking back because at the time we were, end November and we were still sort of, still locked down, I should say. We couldn't do a lot of those things that we are doing now, which is some states are opening up slowly, especially with the vaccines going out. So early on, I knew that we wouldn't be in trouble. I just knew that the NCAA and the college basketball, as well as some teams, had to figure out a great game plan to use on an off day on basis where they can follow. And once they followed those, it's pretty much smooth sailing. I mean, we didn't really have that many amount of postponed games that I originally expected before the season even started. But the ones that were postponed, some of them either rescheduled their game later on in the season or some of them didn't just play that game at all. For example, the Duke and Florida State game from this year that got postponed. In my opinion, I would have liked to see that game rescheduled and then play again or play the game that was originally postponed, but we never got a chance to.
Right.
But that's just the beauty of it. Shout out to the first responders at these campuses. Shout out to the team doctors, the team physicians for figuring this out because there's a ton of COVID test positive on these campuses, and those guys don't get enough credit as they should for doing a job that they did do to make sure that the players are safe, the coaches are safe, and also they get to do what they love to do, and that's to play basketball.
And that's so important to give the shout out to the first responders and those that are there on campus to assist and aid, not only the coaches and teachers, but us, the students and everything. And seeing towards the tail end of the regular season, we saw teams drop out. Duke was in the ACC tournament, and they were looking real good, and they had to pull out due to COVID cases. We saw Virginia drop out Kansas. Duke season is completely over with and done. Unfortunately, they had a disappointing season, but looking at Kansas and looking at Virginia, I know that Kansas has traveled to Indianapolis where everything's going to be at this year. And I think they're missing 3 players that stayed behind still due to COVID protocol.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And so hopefully we won't have any cases. The deadline for any teams dropping out today, but as far as the news and alerts going on at ESPN and CBS Sports and other sports outlets, it looks like that everybody is still a go as far as staying in the tournament. There was, and it's always every year, you're going to have your teams that will get picked, your teams that are on the bubble, the experts that will be on different various sports outlets that will say, you know, who's in, who's out, and everything else. To me, from the outside looking in, I thought for sure Belmont was going to be in as an at-large bid. What other teams did you see that you were surprised they got in, and what teams did you see that did not get in? And again, disappointed for Belmont. They didn't even get an invite to the NIT.
Yeah. It's pretty much solid. I really don't have any other teams. I remember the first 4 on Selection Sunday, the first 4 out. Those teams that were listed, St. Louis, Louisville, and others, those teams really didn't push the envelope or the needle for me to say, okay, I can make the argument for these guys to get in. But I do have in all caps written on my sheet right here that Belmont, how they didn't even get a consideration. Where
absolutely robbed.
Yeah, 26-4 this season. I really feel for Coach Alexander, because at the end of the day, they have just as many wins as Gonzaga, and the only top 3 teams up there with 24 plus wins is Drake, Gonzaga, and Belmont. And Belmont really played, if you really think about it, a full season. They didn't really have any stops. They played almost 30 games. And the fact that they didn't even get a consideration from the NCAA because, you know, they play in a weak conference, as critics will say, or, you know, and they didn't get an opportunity to get quad 1 wins as everyone else has. So I really feel for those guys, because at the end of the day, they have really played their hearts out this season. Look, 26-4 is an amazing accomplishment. Hell, you got teams out there that have 11 losses, 12 losses that are in a tournament.
Right.
So are we really getting, criticized? Are we getting in due to, schedule wise or quad 1 wins? Because at the end of the day, there's some teams in there that are not even 500 in their conference this season, and yet they got a ticket punched against NCAA. So I really feel for Belmont. That was really, after Selection Sunday, that was really my first initiative. Like, wow, how did Belmont not even get a call? And the fact that they didn't even get an invitation to the NIT is kind of insane to me. I mean, they have, outside of Gonzaga, they have the best record in college basketball. How are these guys not in the NIT, period? Even though they deserve to be in the NCAA tournament.
It was like the committee was like, oh, my bad. We missed the team. I mean, we had the NIT already filled out. We had the 68 filled out. Oh, how can we fit them in? Well, whoops, it already went public. So, I mean, I feel bad for that team. I talked to one of my sports friends that is out there in Atlanta, and she said, thank God that Belmont doesn't have any seniors on the team, but still,
that's huge.
They are just absolutely disappointed. Not even an invite, not even an at-large bid or anything else like that there. So I just think it's an insult. NCAA needs to do better. I say that every year. So, but welcome to the tourney, Hartford Hawks. I had to Google them because I didn't even know who they were and everything else. This is their first time ever in a tournament, and the Grand Canyon best mascot ever, the Antelopes. I just think that's a phenomenal mascot to have. But it's their first time in the tournament, so it should be fun to watch. But let's talk about it. Let's dive right into this pool. You better get your sheet out because you did a brave thing. You posted. You posted on your IG page.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Who your picks were.
Yep.
and for people that are not watching, I just want to say he's rocking a North Carolina Tar Heels shirt and hat. I'm rocking Michigan.
Have to.
If you know the history of both of these teams back in the day, the infamous timeout, Dean Smith, Steve Fisher, the Fab Five. And all of that. I mean, look up your history, Google it if you don't know about it. But Monty's picks.
Well, first and foremost,
was a great conversation. Go ahead.
Well, first and foremost, for everybody out there that's listening and will be listening to this episode, I could not look. Me and Miss Marissa are Michigan Wolverines till death.
Till death.
I could not come on this platform wearing Michigan because at the end of the day, for anyone that watches this or listens, and you hear two Michigan fans, you see two people with Michigan gear on, it kind of makes us a little bit biased, as people say. So I had to show love to the Tar Heels. I am a Tar fan. I do have some connections down there. And look, at the end of the day, as we'll get on to later in the show, maybe the Tar Heels are my dark horse out of the South region. You'll have to stay tuned for that. But go ahead, Miss Marissa. I just want to clarify that because two Michigan fans with two Michigan gears on, that don't look right for America. So I had to mix it up a little bit this morning.
Listen, we'll talk about my picks as well. It's not going to be just his, but I think that my Michigan family may come at me a little bit on this bracket right here, and hopefully I will have some kind of case of letting them know why and who I have picked. So we're going to start from the Final Four and then build towards the regions and all that. So please enlighten the folks listening or watching who you have in the Final Four, and then we're going to discuss as we talk about each region.
Yeah, so I did 3 brackets as Miss Marissa pointed out earlier. Yes, I did do a bracket post on my social media, my Instagram, with Michigan being my winner. Of course, I have to show some love to the Wolverines. But in one of my brackets, my Final Four is Zags, Michigan, Baylor, Illinois. My other bracket, I have Illinois, Oklahoma State, Zags, and Michigan, of course. And my last one, I have Zags, Bama, Illinois, and Texas Tech. So I'm going a little bit of a rant here. My last one. I wanted to mix it up. I wanted to mix up because, Baylor, I'll get into that later. Those are my Final Four picks. Who do you have in your first? How many brackets have you done? Are you just one and done?
Okay, listen, I'm not one and done. Okay, I'm that one that will go and do whoever invites me into their pool, depending on how many people are in there. I'm in. Obviously, same. I do the ESPN, I do the CBS one, all that, but this is mine right here. Michigan fans, I'm sorry. I love my fan base. I love it. I'm sorry. My Final Four, I got Zags, Baylor, Houston, and Texas. Something about Shaka Smart, and we'll get into that in a moment. Something about Shaka Smart. I think, Texas tried to ride him off when that horrible season that they had a year or two ago and everything else. And Texas fans, and I live here in Texas, he's done. He's horrible. We need a new coach. Fire Shaka. Fire, the hashtag Fire Shaka on there. And now all of a sudden with the, new season revamp and everything else, we'll get into all that. But let's start out in the West. Because I think it's, we both, said the Zags and giving them kudos. They're their only undefeated team. I think that Mark Few, if we had a season last year, I think that we would have saw the caliber of his team is just fully loaded. They're undefeated. Obviously, they're absolutely good. But besides the Zags, and we can give them, all the accolades and everything else, who do you see that's going to surprise everyone, in your opinion, that could make a possible run and possibly compete with the Zags and give them a scare? We saw it in the WCC championship with BYU, gave the Zags a little scare, and then, BYU kind of fell apart, and the Zags found out who they were in the second half and ended up winning that championship. So who do you think has the capabilities, which team has the capabilities of making an impressive, surprising run out of the West?
That's really tough. I mean, you have some good teams in there. Creighton, Oklahoma, USC, the season there had Creighton. But the two teams that really stand out to me that I think, in my opinion, if they play the right way and play some good basketball, that they can possibly see the Zags in the Sweet 16 or possibly see them in the Elite Eight, is either Kansas or Oregon. Earlier Kansas has shown me a lot this year, even when they hit adversity about early February. They really were playing some bad basketball, and the way Coach Self and his staff flipped the switch with those guys, with Myles Garrett and others, really showed me everything I need to know. I mean, let's face it, we know the capability that Kansas has. They're one of the complete teams in the country compared to everybody else. I mean, 28 this year. They're on a 5-game winning streak right now, so they're playing really good basketball at the right time of the year. We know the significance of what it means to go into March, and especially going to conference play hot, and they have been. But they've already beat Baylor this year.
Yeah.
So that shows me everything. They beat Oklahoma State. They beat Texas Tech. And they have a good support cast. I mean, Miles Garrett, Obiagi, Garrett, Thompson, and the guard Dejon Harris. Those guys are really they're really impressing me. And of course, with Miles Garrett being
Dejon Harris
leader,
is really good. Yeah.
really good. I didn't play that much last year, but this
Mm-hmm.
year he sort of had some early bumps early in the season with non-conference play. But once he got that the conference play under him and having that leader and Garrett under his wing, mentoring him, the rest is really much history. And Jalen Wilson's really been the key for me in that team because he's been one of the most consistent players on that Kansas squad with his ability to score and his defending. He has some long length with his athletic ability.
Arms for days.
And right now he's not in Indy. He's one of the guys, as Mr. Marissa pointed out earlier in the show, that's quarantining back in Kansas. But I'm pretty sure he's going to first flight out soon. But they're really tough. I think Kansas, if they play the way I know they can play and keep this winning streak rolling, they can possibly see the Zags in the Elite Eight. And at that point, it's really do or die. We both know the significance of March is one and done, and you have to play your best basketball. So if the Zags were to come out hypothetically and they meet Kansas in the Elite Eight and the Zags play the way they played against BYU in the first half, then Kansas may be on their way to another Final Four. I mean, Bill Self knows what it takes to get there. He's been there numerous of times. And another team in the West to me that has a possibility, and I actually have Kansas and Oregon meeting, is Oregon. I mean, let's face it, Oregon is another one of those tough, gritty teams this year. 26, they're 4-1 right now in March. They really can be a dangerous team in this tournament, and I actually have them meeting up with Kansas in the Sweet 16, and the winner of that game really is going to be the best shot to get Zags out early. Because everybody in the country, everybody in the bracket have Zags in the Final Four. But out of those two teams, in my opinion, as the winner of that game, if they do meet, when they will meet, because I'm going to speak into existence of our brackets still live, that's the best shot to get the Zags out early before we get to the Final Four.
I 100% agree with you on all that, and that would be a great matchup. And I heard a lot of experts talk about it. That'd be a great matchup if it gets to that point where Kansas and Oregon meet in the Sweet 16. I have a couple of concerns on teams coming out of the West that did have a good season. Virginia and Iowa. For some reason, I see them as an early exit. Thoughts?
I don't disagree with that. I mean, just looking at Virginia, they're a 4 seed in this tournament. But offensively, they showed me a lot of signs of, we all know in the game, and especially within March, you need good guard play. You need great front court production, and you need guys to knock down shots. Bottom line. And me watching Virginia a lot this year, especially that game against Duke where they lost, and a few other games after that, their offense doesn't really excite me. They really don't have that offensive spark.
From years past, when they had that national championship year where they went from being that first 16 seed to be, or first number 1 seed to be upset by a 16 seed. And then Tony Bennett went and just retooled his whole entire team, and they went on an amazing run and ended up getting that national championship. I agree with you on that.
They really don't have that offensive grit that you need to have in March, and that's no takeaway from Coach Bennett and his staff and the team he has. I just think this year they don't have enough. I'm going to use the word killers to go get it done. And Iowa's the same case. I mean, look, let's face it. They're one of the top teams in the Big Ten. The resume is well solid, and of course, we all know the Big Ten was the best basketball conference in all year long. No doubt about it.
Best that I've seen it.
Watching Iowa. The game plan is really much simple, and the game against Michigan showed me. And I know I'm a Michigan fan, I'm pointing this out, but I'm pointing this out for a reason. If you limit Garza, and he go against another solid big that can defend, if you limit him, the game is pretty much won. Your players and your role players have to step up. Look, Iowa doesn't have a bench that really scares me at all. The guard play is not really that impressive to me. And if you limit Garza and force the game into the guard's hands, you'll have an 85 to 90% chance of winning the game. So I don't disagree with your pick at all with Virginia or Iowa. Those two teams really they really don't have that flow that's going to say, okay, I think this team can make a run because of their offense, because of their bench play, and because they get after it. And they just don't have those things this year. And I do agree. I think they'll have early exits, no doubt about it.
For me, Iowa is, they got the big man Luka Garza down below.
Yeah.
Can Wieskamp and Jordan Bohannon, can they both be hot from the three? If you leave them alone, they're dangerous right behind that 3-point line.
Absolutely.
I mean, we saw Bohannon was against in the regular season. I think it was against Nebraska. He just kept shooting three after three after three after three. And again, Nebraska had their struggles. I think they ended up the season 9-20. And I think that, Fred Hoiberg is going to do something with that team and then turn them around, and we'll see them dangerous possibly in a year or two. Who knows? But just impressive, quick release shooting from Bohannon. Like I said, if you leave him alone, he's going to be just absolutely deadly. So I think they're possibly, I don't know, the Grand Canyon Iowa thing. I don't know if they're going to run away with it, because Grand Canyon, I did get to see one of their games, and they're quite impressive for people that don't know who they are. Not well known college. They're going to give Iowa everything that they can, but I think when Iowa gets to that next round and they face a very strong Oregon, I just, like I said, I just see them as one of those, well, thank you for being here, have safe travels back to Iowa. But the team that I have that is possibly going to be, this is one of my risks that I had coming out of the West. I see Creighton as a first round upset. I think UCSB is going to put them out. They looked absolutely horrendous against a very determined Patrick Ewing coached Georgetown team that surprised everyone. And we'll talk about them when we get to the East region. But I don't know if if they're still in shell shock, if they're able to overcome that. And as you pointed out, the offensive determination that we lack and we see with Virginia.
Yeah.
The identity of a Creighton that, okay, on good games, you're amazing. Everybody's gelling. And on some games, you got one person that's picking up the slack for the others. Yeah. And then at times you're just like, okay, who is this team? And where is the team that I saw play a few nights ago? And that was the question marks that I had surrounding them when they played Georgetown. And they were double-digit favorites against Georgetown and ended up being double-digit losses. So I don't know what your thoughts is. If you see any high seed that you see could be a potential first-round upset.
Well, in the whole bracket or just in this region?
Just in this region.
Oh, I mean, I wouldn't disagree with the UCSB pick. I wouldn't be surprised at Drake either. I
thought about that too. Yeah.
They're really, really, really good. I think they don't get enough credit that they possibly deserve.
Undercover good that nobody's talking about.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think they could possibly, I think if Drake were to, I do have Drake beating Wichita State, by the way, but if Drake were to meet up against USC, that's anybody's game. I mean, let's face it, Drake has a big Darnell Brody transfer from Seton Hall. He's basically revamped himself from not playing at Seton Hall to now being a double-digit guy, lead and being a double-double guy, I should say. And the fact that we know what USC has with Mobley, he's one of the best bigs in college basketball. He can put the ball on the floor. He can knock down that 15-foot jumper. But Drake is one of them. And I wouldn't be surprised if UCSB gets over Creighton. Look, let's face it, it's March. We don't know how Creighton's going to show up. In my mind, I do expect them to bounce back after being, of course, embarrassed in the Big East final the other night against Georgetown. But Creighton's a team whereas though, like you said, when they're on, we know what they're capable of. But when they're off, good luck, because you don't know what's going to happen. So those are my two really possibly upset / sleepers in that region that can possibly get it done if if they're playing the right basketball. That's the thing. That's the beauty in all of this of March Madness. Yeah, we go ahead and talk about the favorites, or we like this, we like that, but it literally comes down to one game. You can come out the game blazing, another team can come out the game just offensively dismantled, and they just can't figure it out for the first 20 minutes.
And that's an exciting thing of it. That's the exciting thing of it. I mean, we can go back a few years back. Remember University of Northern Iowa, I believe it was the shooting guard, Ali Farouk Manesh. It came out. I mean, I had to set my brackets on fire because I had North Carolina going all the way that year.
Wow.
And then he just had the monster game of a lifetime. And I'm like, who is Northern Iowa? What?
Yeah. Where did they come from? What is happening right now? I'm not sure. What's taking place?
Doggone it, it's March. As I'm tearing up my brackets, I'm like, I love it, hate it all at the same time. But you know, it's the exciting thing of it. Looking at the South right now, and like I said, I had Baylor coming out of it. You know, in one of your brackets, you had Texas Tech, and Texas Tech is one of those teams that is absolutely dangerous. But then you look further down, and you see another Big Ten team, Ohio State. You know, their coach is just up there for National Coach of the Year, as he should. I mean, I'm not a Buckeye fan, but I'm a sports fan, and you got to look at what he has done with this program. And no shade at Thad Matta, but I think he did it quicker than Thad Matta. And the guys that have been on his squad have fully respected him and his leadership and is capable to win. But the little train that is on this entire South bracket, Winthrop.
Ooh.
Yeah. Winthrop is my dark horse.
Really?
Winthrop, I think, will make some noise, and Winthrop, I think, will upset Villanova first round.
Wow. That's a very look. I'll be honest, doing this bracket 4 times, not to mention doing it on 3 different pools, that game really scares me. Because
that was one of the last spots I filled out too, Monty, because I had to skip it because I'm just like,
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. I think if Villanova gets back Justin Moore, yes, we already know they're without Colin Gillespie.
Yeah.
And when their first game after Gillespie got injured against Creighton was against Providence, and I'm watching that game, they didn't look that bad offensively. They dug themselves in the whole first half, but second half they gritted it out. Of course, Justin Moore got injured in that game. But I like Villanova's chances if they get Justin Moore back. I'm not sure as far as his timetable, as far as his percentage of where he's at right now, as far as playing condition or he's practicing. I did see a tweet from Jay Wright that he is back. He's looking good. He's back on his feet. He doesn't have a boot on. I'm sorry. So I'm curious. But that game right there was like, I don't know. But I just can't knock down the capabilities of the magic that Jay Wright works in March, especially in a tournament. Winthrop, they're a really competitive team.
Very.
23-1 for a reason. And usually the one loss that they had really didn't, when I watched the tape, they really didn't show me any weaknesses. Yeah. They're really well complete. They're playing the right basketball at the right time. That's what I talked about earlier. This is the point in March where you want to go into March on a win streak, which they have. And they're a good coach team. Their bench is really they have some good key players that come off that bench. And I just think as a whole, they really don't have any weaknesses really that say, okay, they're having injuries. They're not having anybody that's playing bad basketball. They're just playing together and they're playing perfect. Now I think Jay Wright and his staff are going to have to come up with a hell of a game plan to stop these guys to get the win. And you're going to need Justin Moore to do it because if Justin Moore is not playing this game, you're already down your general and Colin Gillespie. Now you're down Justin Moore, your key 2 guard on this roster.
That's what I was looking at that too, seeing if he was going to come back and if he is limited minutes or not going to be in. That's a team of vulnerability that Winthrop will thrive off of and somehow keep it close. But I just think Winthrop to me is going to carry into don't hate me, fans, and those that are going to love me. Winthrop is probably going to send me a care package. I have them in the Sweet 16.
Whoa!
Have them in a Sweet 16. I think Purdue gets by North Texas, the Mean Green. Sorry, my Texas folk; those are their Mean Green. I see Purdue playing Winthrop, and then so for some reason, last minute, because those last second shots, those are the ones that keep us fans at the edge of our seats. I think Winthrop slides by them and gets into the next round, and they'll face a very tough Baylor. And who knows from there? I mean, I have Winthrop out of there. I'm not that crazy one that took a risk and moved them on. Because looking at the rest of this region, I mean, like I said, you got Ohio State, you got Texas Tech, you got Arkansas.
Yeah.
I mean, this is loaded.
It's really this region here is probably one of the best out of all of them because you just have so many good teams that are playing good basketball, and they're all in one region. I mean, I have Purdue, Texas Tech, Ohio State, and my dark horse is UNC. And I only say, look, I have UNC beating Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Sorry, Wisconsin fans. I'm just being honest. Watching UNC all year, basically, what really got me. I've been on them all year. I've been backing them all year because not because I have, I like the Tar Heels. I just think that they have a really well-rounded roster. Their front court is one of the best in the country with Baycott and Garrison Brooks.
Yep.
I like their guard play, even though at times this year was really inconsistent, but that's what you're going to get out of freshman guards with Caleb Love and RJ Davis. But the way that they turned it up in the ACC tournament, yes, they lost a game which really they could have won against Florida State. That showed me, okay, this team here can possibly get out of the first round and can possibly get out of the second, maybe. I'm not doubting Roy Williams and his capability. He's one of those coaches that he's up there. Roy Williams, Jay Wright, Tom Izzo, those guys are scary in March. Period. But I just think North Carolina, they have what it takes they definitely have what it takes to beat Wisconsin. I mean, Wisconsin's a team that doesn't really scare me this year watching them play.
I mean, they got a really good shooting guard. I don't know if he's a point or shooting guard, Dimitri Trice.
Trice is he's had a great year.
He's had an amazing year.
Yeah, he had. I don't remember what team that was earlier this year, but he just went off. He had like 32, I think. They did wind up still losing the game, but
yeah, because he was trying to keep him in it.
It was Wisconsin's senior night, to be exact. Now I remember, and he had a great game. But Purdue's another team. Look, Jordan Ivey, man, you talk about improvement.
Oh my gosh, he's going to be year. He's a freshman.
Throughout the year, Jordan Ivey's real deal. And shout out to his mom, Coach Ivey. I'm always supporting Black women in sports. Of course, she was a former assistant at Memphis Grizz in the NBA. Now she's run the show at Notre Dame, but she has a hell of an athlete in Jordan Ivey. I mean, he's been playing throughout the year. He's been going through some stretches as all players do. They go through that period where things are not really working, trying to figure themselves out. And he's really look. He's one of the leading scorers.
He continues to evolve.
I'm sorry.
He's an exciting player because he continues to evolve. He wants to get better, and it's not just he'll play a game. Even if they win that particular game, Monty, you'll see the improvements in the next game that he plays.
Absolutely.
And that's what I applaud him for, because it isn't an age factor. It is, he's just a freshman and everything else. He plays like if he walked out of Purdue, he could get snatched up in the NBA. And he's one of those very few that I will say that about. That it's not about the money or the contracts and everything. It's about the love of the game, and he has that.
Yeah, I don't disagree. He is a future NBA player, no doubt about it. But Purdue is one of those teams I have. They can possibly get to the Sweet 16 and see Baylor. UNC can get to the Sweet 16. I mean, we do expect Ohio State to make a run just off what they showed us in the Big Ten tournament. Alone, not regular season, just alone, the Big Ten tournament. We both expect them to make a deep run. And Texas Tech.
Wayne Washington Jr. for Ohio State is just.
Oh my God.
He's phenomenal.
He's phenomenal. He's special, and not to mention, even though EJ Liddell made some costly turnovers against Michigan that almost costed them, and he made a turnover that really costed them against Illinois. One of the key turnovers that cost them against Illinois. He's really special too. He can knock down that three. He's really well-rounded for his size down there. Just of course Dickerson against Michigan, he had a big second half, but the way Liddell impacted that game second half wise, as far as his offense and defensive presence, is like incredible. And of course, I don't think anybody in the country can stop Kofi Cockburn from Illinois. Let's just face it. He's a walking double-double. And in my opinion, he's a walking $100 million machine. But
listen,
I like people really are sleeping on Texas Tech.
They are. And I was gonna just say that to you too, because you had them picked in one of your brackets. I agree with you. I don't even know what words to say. I think that people think that Texas Tech is just a one and done or possibly two and done, everything else. I think that they could make a possible run, Sweet 16 and Elite Eight. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think I have them.
They can.
The one matchup I want to see is Texas Tech, Ohio State, and see.
Woof.
Yeah, and see who wants it more, who's going to have their shots accuracy, who's prepared more in March, and who I would love to see that game. And
I do. I would too. And look, let's be honest. They don't have an easy game. Their first game, they have Arkansas.
No. Yeah,
Arkansas is a really gritty team in the SEC. And look, they're no sleeper either. The winner, look, if Arkansas gets past Texas Tech, I do think Ohio State wins. If Texas Tech beat Arkansas State and they see Ohio State, anybody's game. That's the beauty of it. So I do have, both my brackets have a flip-flop.
Don't sleep on Utah State either, even though they got in. Yeah. I mean, again, the South is just it's loaded. It is ridiculously loaded with all kinds of talent. It's going to be a fun watch to see them. But you were talking about Kofi Cockburn. Yeah. And one, to me, the size of him is just, and how he moves down below kind of reminds me of a younger Sean Kemp back in the day, of how he just moves so well underneath the basket. I mean, he bullied Luka Garza when they were playing in the Big Ten tournament. And it just that solid body down below. And I just think, Illinois going into the Midwest region, Illinois is going to be that one that is just going to be absolutely tough. And my dream matchup is going to be Illinois and Oklahoma State. How much can Cade Cunningham carry Oklahoma State and make a huge impact? This is a fairly decent Midwest bracket. This one was actually one of the ones that I filled out the quickest.
Yeah. Okay.
Looking at this, the 8-9 matchup, Loyola Chicago and Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech coming off of that absolutely amazing championship that they had. The emotions that they had. That one's going to be an interesting matchup. I got my eye on that one, as well as the number 7 Clemson and 10 Rutgers. Don't sleep on Rutgers, folks.
Before we get into this, I really miss this by like a million miles an hour.
Oh, go ahead.
Shame on me. Going back to you asked me earlier in the show, who do I see as a possible double-digit seed to advance in the first round? And shame on me for not saying this earlier, because at the time I was so locked in. But I really do believe Ohio can beat Virginia. And Ohio's a 13 seed. And here's why. I'm going to break it down. I'm going to break this down.
Because I had that in my other pool that Ohio was going to go. Ohio's going to surprise some people. I agree with you on that. Go ahead.
Virginia is really in a tough position. They are not practicing. They can't practice till Friday.
Yep.
And they haven't traveled to Indy yet. And that game is on a Saturday.
Yep.
They're going to get to Indy on this Friday. I think that's part of the reason why they're going to lose, because preparation is so key. You're going to fly into Indy that Friday. You're going to practice that Friday. Then you can prepare yourself for a game that Saturday. And look, let's face it, Ohio, you remember early in the year when they played Illinois.
Yeah.
They only lost by 2. There's a guard, Jason Preston. No doubt about it. First round draft pick. He's actually on my NBA mock draft. He's listed first rounder. 31-8-6 against Illinois. He's averaging 16, 7, and 7. That's triple double numbers.
Yeah.
He's really tough. And I talked about it earlier with Virginia's guard play. I think Virginia's guard play will struggle against Jason Preston, because look, Ohio, they're a really gritty team. When you lose to Illinois by 2 and you give West Virginia hell, that right there is like, if you were to ask me which double-digit seed that I could possibly see getting out of first round, Ohio is one of them. So I just want to show love to them, because shame on me for not. And also, I know they're in the same bracket, same region, I should say, is them also. No, they're actually not. I'm sorry. So Ohio would definitely be my double-digit out of this region. But going back to Midwest before we get into, of course, our favorite, the East, I'm ready. I mean, look, I'm with you all the way. I do want to see that dream matchup of Illinois and Oklahoma State. But I think at the end of the day, what it comes down to is Oklahoma State doesn't have enough firepower to match up with Illinois. I mean, Illinois' bench is just playing phenomenal basketball right now. And they, out of every team.
Who's that freshman with the big fro, Alex Urbello? He came
God.
right off the bench when he played Michigan in Chrysler and just went off by himself. You had Ayo that was out. Coburn wasn't playing full potential in that first half. And he's like, I got y'all. And just was hitting threes like nobody's business.
Outside of Trent Frazier, their guard, he's been the most consistent on that team.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, with their wing, Adam Miller, he's had some slumps. But Cabello has been one of those guys that say, no matter what the circumstances are, I'm going to show up. And in my opinion, I think Illinois has faced the most adversity all year. Despite Baylor being out with COVID protocols, despite Michigan being out with protocols for 21 days, despite Kansas going through their slumps, Illinois has been the team that when adversity shows up at their door, that they answer. And look, let's face it, when Iowa's at that 3-game stretch, they had guys step up like Trent Frazier, Cabello, Adam Miller, and I think, in my opinion, the most dangerous 1-2 punch guard to big man is Ayo and Kofi. I mean, let's just face it. I don't see no other guard and big man out there that can get it done. They both can give you 20 at ease. And, if, in my bracket, I do have Illinois and Oklahoma State as a dream game. Illinois, look, this is their first time having a number 1 seed. Last time they were number 1 seed in the tournament was 2005. They went to the national championship and lost. I think this is the year again where they get to the Final Four. They're really well complete. They really don't have any weaknesses from seeing them this year, despite Iowa being out 3-game stretch. And I think the time is now. I think Coach Underwood, this has been his best team since he's been at Illinois, and the time is now to go get one. Because of course, at the end of the day, next year they're gonna reload. They're gonna lose their two stars to the NBA. And outside of Illinois, I don't see anybody else in this region possibly giving them any headaches. Of course, we know with Cade Cunningham, he's a walk-in lottery pick. We know what he brings to the table. He can score the ball at ease. But outside of them, I have, as far as my sleepers in this region, in the Midwest, I do have, don't be mad at me for this. Don't be mad.
Here it goes, folks. Here it comes.
I was a little skeptical with Houston being a 3 seed due to the fact that the AAC, their conference, has been really weak this year. Hasn't been really strong as we've seen in recent years. But their sleeper, I think, they can make a run possibly to the Sweet 16, maybe in the Elite 8. I'll be quite honest with you.
Yeah, I have them in the Elite 8.
Yeah, I'm never doubting Bob Huggins' teams. I mean, look, let's face it. West Virginia is I don't sleep on them at all. And they're 3 seed also. They've earned that right to be a 3 seed. Maybe you could make the argument that maybe, Oklahoma State could be a 3 seed. They could be a 4 seed, maybe a switch flip-flop. But look, West Virginia is well solid. They earned their right to be here. I'm not sleeping on them either. I mean, we know what Bob Huggins always has something up his sleeves, even though, in my opinion, he should have been in the Hall of Fame a long time ago.
I agree.
But those are the 2 teams that really stick out to me in this Oklahoma State, Houston, and I do have Clemson over Rutgers in the first round because, this is Rutgers' first time being here in a long time. But I just think Clemson, they played some really good basketball this year, and they've upset some good teams in
they really did.
And conference play, and they can get after it. So I do have that's one of my early goodbyes for Rutgers. Sorry, Rutgers fans. I really, don't like you guys anyway. But Clemson over Rutgers. I have West Virginia making possibly a run in one of my brackets. I have Houston making a run. And I don't think, of course, that key game for me, which is that second round matchup between Tennessee. I have Tennessee and Oklahoma State in the second round. I just think Tennessee.
Even though they're missing a key piece, I don't know what the status is of.
Yes.
And that was an unfortunate foul. Like that.
Oh my God.
That was unnecessary.
Terrible.
Unnecessary foul that I can't recall the player's name that did that. He did get ejected in flagrant 2. So, hopefully they get him back. I don't know if he's going to be back in time for this because the hit that he took to the face, that cheap shot with the elbow.
Yeah. It's just unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate. And, don't be mad, but my last upset, this is really just sort of my first round. If you were to ask me for this region, who would be a double-digit seed to possibly make it out of the first round, I have Syracuse.
Oh my goodness.
San Diego State. Look, I'm not sleeping on San Diego State. I'm not sleeping on their capabilities. They've been one of the best teams in college basketball at 23-4. But
look, this is Jim Boeheim, though. This is Jim Boeheim.
March, baby. Anything
this is Jim Boeheim. That's so true.
San Diego State, out of watching all of their games, not even watching all their games, watching mostly tape on all their games, because I came ready for this podcast show, and I came ready. They really haven't seen a 2-3 zone all game.
All game.
Look,
oh my goodness, so true.
We know Boeheim. He sits in that zone all game. And look, going through the tape, San Diego State, they've seen sequences of the zone throughout their games this year, but they haven't seen a zone all game. And we know mentally, from a mental standpoint, you got to be ready to go, because look, the key to breaking the zone, you may break the zone a few times. Boeheim ain't worry about that.
No,
but you have to see that for 40 minutes. And if you don't put the right game plan in place, whereas though you got to knock down shots in the zone. That's bottom line. Got to knock down 3-pointers, and you got to be able to get the ball inside to create for others. If San Diego State don't get those two things done, they're going home in the first round. Sorry, not sorry. So Cuse, if you were to ask me, Cuse is my team that can possibly get out of the first round as a double.
Sorry, not sorry.
Sure. Sorry, not sorry.
Love it. And absolutely. Last but not least, the East, our boys. Since Coach Juwan Howard, that wasn't the coach he was, part of the Fab Five. It was when he was a sophomore that they had a number 1 seed at that time. And now as a coach, Michigan has a number 1 seed. And already, and listen to Joe Lunardi and his thoughts, which number 1 seed is the first to fall. He has them. And it's because of a player that may not, miracles may happen, but who knows? Isaiah Livers suffering that foot injury. I have, and don't hate me, Michigan fans, I love you, but I do have them a dream matchup against Florida State in the Sweet 16, with Florida State barely beating my maize and blue. I've already prepared my emotions. I have my Kleenex on standby. I don't. Wow. This is an interesting region as itself too, because
absolutely.
I was, and like I said, I love doing this podcast was that because I dedicated to fans, and I like listening to some of them, even the most obnoxious ones. And majority of the U of M fans had said that this was an easy region. I said,
no, not by a long shot.
Not by a long shot. Don't, you're sleeping on LSU. LSU had that tough loss against Alabama when it came down to the wire. You're sleeping on a rejuvenated Georgetown team, Florida State, and then again, as Monty and I were talking at the top of the show and before we even came on there, Shaka Smart and this Texas team is loaded, and they had their struggles late January, early February, but they, as like in Illinois, they figured it out. They went through the process and just started adjusting and figured it out. Texas is one of my teams I have in the Final Four. He did it in 2011 with a team that everybody had to go and Google, and that was VCU, where he took them from the first 4 to the Final Four in 2011. I mean, he's going to have just an absolutely amazing run. Also, we're seeing a team that is not even, used to being in the spot that they are, and that's Michigan State Spartans that got in. They are in the first 4, and they're going to face a very determined, in my opinion, a UCLA team that may make some noise. Either way, one of these teams is going to face a very tough BYU. So with that being said, for me on my end, and again, I got my eye on the St. Bonaventure LSU game. I don't think that that's going to be a walk in the park for LSU.
No,
I have my eye on Colorado and Georgetown with the energy that Georgetown has coming off of their win in there, and the magic of the Madison Square Garden, a la the great Patrick Ewing. I just see them giving Colorado some problems. And just because I'm petty and they made me upset. And, I just can't stand it. They try to charge at my coach during the Big Ten tournament. I hope I am a Dan Hurley fan, and I hope that they go and they just absolutely demolish Maryland
Yeah.
Go Huskies, go.
Really? I'm not.
And then Rise from the Ashes, the Rise of the Phoenix, the Rick Pitino's with the Iona Gales. I mean, they're going to lose to Alabama, but it's Rick Pitino. I mean, what's your thoughts on this region?
Well, first and foremost, it's good to see Rick back, Rick back in college basketball, and secondly, it's amazing to see him back in March Madness. I mean, we know this is his fifth team that he's took in his coaching tenure. He's coached 5 different college teams. This is his fifth team he took to the NCAA tournament. That's really special. That's really unique to, if you really think about it. It's 5 programs that he's turned. But let's face it, before he even walked into Iona, that Iona had already made the tournament the previous 4 years. So he didn't walk into a situation where he had to rebuild Iona from the ground up. Iona was left in good hands when a job was given to him. So that's good to see him there. But I really look, I'm just as mad as you with the whole Maryland thing. I do believe UConn can pull it off. Their guard play is tremendous.
James Bouknight right now can walk into the NBA and be the first pick in the draft. He's that good.
Yeah, I wouldn't say first pick.
First pick, no?
I wouldn't put him over Cade. He hasn't. No. He has.
They're my 1-2. Either one of them could switch out, but he definitely is in the top 3 in my opinion.
Yeah.
The draft was right now.
Maryland can possibly win this game. I'm not taking away, the capability of what they can possibly achieve. But I do have UConn winning. If you were to ask me again, a first round, a double-digit seed that could possibly get out of the first round for this region, it's Michigan State. I do think that they will have some trouble early against UCLA. UCLA is no sleeper at all. They got some good guys over there, especially with the rising talent of Jalen Clark, the guard there. That's a game that, if anybody can win. But I do look, it is in March if it isn't Izzo.
Yeah.
And look, Michigan State have really earned their right. When the first 4 was in and Michigan State was one of them, I said, look, no lies detected. I mean, let's just be honest. They beat Illinois in a stretch of March, Illinois, Ohio State, and Michigan. At that time, 3, 4, 5 seed, or I'm not saying in order, but he beat
in the 3 top 10 teams. Yeah.
3 top 10 teams. 3 of them were top 5 seeds at the time in the country. Michigan State beat them all in March, and they're playing at the right time. And they have that Michigan State Spartan luck right now. I'm not gonna say luck, but they have that fire right now. So if you were to ask me, Michigan State can possibly get out of first round against BYU. I just think if Michigan State and BYU were to match up, Michigan State sort of has the edge from a guard play standpoint and a little bit of a front court. And let's face it, when's the last time we've seen Tom Izzo go home in the first round anyway? So if they can get over UCLA, they can possibly get out of the first round for sure, no doubt about it. I'm not sleeping on LSU either. I do think they'll have their hands full in the first round against St. Bonaventure. Let's face it. And if they were to see Michigan in the second round, Will Wade might as well just call the airport fire at the Jets early because they're not getting past. I have Michigan getting past LSU, but the key with LSU is this. They showed me this throughout conference play and as well as the tournament. Lately, they've been defending, which they really haven't been doing good this year.
Yeah.
They've been defending the ball lately. Against Alabama, yeah, they had some very few bad possessions late. I do disagree with the last play with Trendon Watford shooting a 30-footer step back 3 and airballing, and he shot it too early. He shot it about 4 seconds left on the clock. In my opinion, I'm putting the ball in the best player hands, and my best player is Cam Thomas. Look, Cam Thomas is a first-round draft pick, no doubt about it. He led the SEC in scoring with 22 points a game. The guy is a tremendous talent, and he showed up and showed out throughout this season and SEC conference play. I would have loved to see Cam Thomas have the ball in that late game situation against Alabama to go win. Yeah, Trendon Watford, he's going to be an NBA player at the end of it when it's all said and done, no doubt about it. Yes, he did have 30 points that game against Alabama. Yes, he did have some key plays where he got them back in. But at the end of the day, as a coach, you put the ball in your best player's hands. Now, if they put the ball in Cam's hands and he makes a move, he makes a play, and he get past to somebody that's open or whatever, that's cool. But you can't tell me, Will Wade, head coach at LSU, that you don't put the ball in your best player's hands. Period. It's simple. If you put the ball in Cam's hand, you might win. Yeah. But the fact that you shoot a 30-foot step back 3 with 4 seconds left with, your second best player, I disagree with it. If, all game LSU was getting to the basket, I would have loved to see them get to the basket, maybe get a foul, maybe get a drawing kick, whatever. You have so many different scenarios, but that's on them. No credit, no discredit from Alabama. They earned it, but LSU definitely has the capabilities of being a team that could possibly get out of the second round if they can somehow figure a way out to get past Michigan. No doubt they're not a sleeper. They have the guard play. They have the talent there from a guard position. Their front court is really what scares me, and I do think that's why they'll lose to Michigan in the second round, is just because they don't have that big that can stop or can limit Hunter Dickinson. And we all know Hunter Dickinson is a walking double-double, and he has the capabilities of doing so. And Florida State is another team. Look, Coach Hamilton's got this team ready. I wasn't shocked that Georgia Tech beat them in the SEC championship game, but I just what Florida State, the way they play, as far as from an energy standpoint with Scotty Barnes, man, that guy's like a freaking Corvette engine. I mean, he's always rolling. And look,
it's quick.
He got injured that North Carolina game. He's like, look, I'm getting right back on the floor. My team needs me.
Yeah.
And guys like that, players like that, is guys
that's your generals right there. Yeah.
Especially if I'm an NBA GM or if I'm a front office executive, I want a guy like that on my team. And look, no doubt he's going to be a first round draft pick when it's all said and done. Also, but I'm not taking away. Bama can make a run too. I mean, they've really, Nate Oates has really earned the right to be SEC Coach of the Year. He's earned the right to be SEC champion. And I want to give a special shout out to New Jersey native's own GQ, Javon Cornerly, Hudson Catholic native, went to Villanova, was in that scandal with Arizona about being paid. And the way he's transitioned 360 with his playing abilities and the stuff he's took within these first few years of his playing career. Of course, he sat out all last year of being ineligible. And you talk about humble. Man, this kid has went through some of the darkest days ever. Going through a FBI investigation at Arizona, going through the dark days at Arizona, then going to Villanova with Jay Wright, then getting the criticism from everybody in the Big East and Villanova fans and the world, critics all over the country that he's not a right fit for Villanova, doesn't play well in Jay Wright's system. Then Jay Wright coming out. He's been through some dark, stormy days. And for him to turn his career around right now in Alabama, playing at a high clip, being one of the best players in the SEC from a guard, but one of the best guards in the SEC, period. Right. And for him to come out and show out, averaging over 16 points a game, this guy, man, I'm just not also because he's from New Jersey, but just the way that the adversity that's been placed upon him. I mean, the guy's been killed in the media multiple times, and he's like, yo, dude, only the people that's been in my – he put out his tweet or something on Instagram. I remember he said, only the people that have been in my corner really know how this feels to me after winning the SEC championship. And look, Alabama, they're playing at a high level right now. Nate Oates got those guys rolling, and they're definitely a team, in my opinion, that can make a Elite Eight run and possibly get to the Final Four.
I like that, you have these players, and he's one of them. And, that's so cool that you shared his backstory and everything else. That's the type of person you want to root for.
Absolutely.
To just be so successful in their college career, and if they want to proceed into their NBA and everything else, that's the kind of player that you want to root for. So I'm gonna root for him too, because that's phenomenal, of all the adversity that he overcame. And I'm sure that he had those moments where he just wanted to throw in the towel and quit.
Man, look, let's face it. I had to get out of the Arizona scandal, that FBI investigation. I had to get out of that. Allegedly Sean Miller paid him. I don't know the true facts for that. I don't know. Then on top of that, transfer to Villanova. Gets to Villanova. At the time, he's one of the highest transfers that Villanova has ever had in program history. Yeah. Gets to Villanova, has a really bad career at Villanova. I mean, he showed some spurts playing with Colin Gillespie in the backcourt, and then it just went downhill. I mean, and then on top of that, okay, gets out of Villanova mess, killed again in the media, transfers. Okay. At the time, NCAA had a rule, you may be, eligible transfer to play. Didn't play. Had to sit a whole year out. So that's another year of missed college basketball. So right now, let's face it, he was a high recruit, originally going to Arizona, doesn't play. Go to Villanova, doesn't work out, barely plays. Had to sit out a year, don't play college basketball, sits out, has to humble himself again. And he keeps working. That's underdog mentality right there. And then, of course, it all comes to show. I mean, he got his flowers this year. He played phenomenal this year, one of the top guards in the country. And that underdog mentality for all kids out there, and I'll say this on this platform that will be listening, especially my people that are going to listen that plays basketball. No matter what adversity you face in life, always stick to what you believe in, because JQ, Javon Cornerly, had a vision to play college basketball. He went to two good programs. I'm going to put Villanova as a great program because they've been great in the last 5 years. And then on top of that, to still believe in his dream and his passion, stick to the script, have that support system. That's the key, people. All ball players out there, not even people that play basketball, just people in life, whatever your career is, the support system is key. Because if you don't have that support system, whatever you choose to do in life, the chances of you making it and being successful are slim to none. And shout out to Javon Cornerly, New Jersey native. Shout out to his support system for sticking to the script and being with him through those dark storms. Because at the end of the day, I want people in my life that are going to be there with me through my dark days, through my dark storms. Whereas though I may think that I'm not going to be where I want to be in life, but the people that's going to say, hey, you got this. I believe in you. Let's do what needs to be done. Because if you have a bunch of yes people in your life, I don't want yes people in my life. I want people that's going to criticize me and say, yo, what you're doing right now, you suck. You need to step your game up and you need to get better. I need people like that in my life. And
people that hold you accountable.
Hold me accountable. And look, I just want to give a special shout because, man, he really deserves his flowers. I mean, out of mostly every player throughout this college basketball season, I don't think there's no player in the country that's faced more adversity throughout his college career than Javon Cornerly, period.
Shout out to you, Javon. That's a great way to end this with our pool and our brackets and our discussion of it. You will definitely be back. I look forward to our next conversation that we will have.
Before we go, shame on us. Before we go, shame on us.
What do we do?
We gave our final four picks.
Oh,
we didn't give. There you go.
We didn't give our
winner, and we didn't give our score prediction.
Okay, hit it on yours, and then I'll do mine.
Okay, so I'll go through all three brackets. I won't go into all three pools because that'd be too many to name. So my first bracket, I have Zags, Michigan, Baylor, Illinois. I have Zags beating our Wolverines. Sorry. Look, you made a deep. If Isaiah Livers does not come back,
I need God to just rain upon that foot.
I believe in miracles. I believe it's March. I believe Michigan has one of the best team positions and team docs in the country. I think I'm making a bold prediction. Isaiah Livers will play an NCAA tournament this year.
I mean, the miracle that happened that made me pull my hammy a few years ago when Jordan Poole hit that three against Houston in the second round in the West.
Oh my God!
I was working. Working in Garland, Texas. Everybody was like, Marisa, come on. They were all Houston fans. Of course, it's Texas. I'm wearing my Michigan, wearing my uniform, by the Michigan shirt underneath, earrings. He hit that three. I was waiting for them to say it didn't count because you know how those referees are. So I'm standing there in the TV. I'm like, I'm not going to make a fool of myself. I just need to see it. I'm seeing Poole running, Wagner running after him, bench clear, everything. And I'm like, I'm waiting for it. And then I saw the score go up and it said final. And then I'm seeing the distraught fans on, Houston side of the ball and everything. I promise you, Monty, I don't remember what happened after that. I ran around the building.
Wow, really?
Pulled a hammy. It was worth it.
I was in Roanoke, Virginia. At the time, my school was in the Final Four. And I remember I'm in my hotel and I'm like, oh my God, we're really about to lose. And I'm preparing myself.
Me too.
Before the game even ended.
Yeah.
Before we even had the chance to, of course, to inbound the ball to go down and Jordan Poole hits the game with a shot. I was already getting text messages and calls.
Oh, so was I. I
was like, oh no. And I'm looking at the game. I'm literally laying down in my hotel room.
How are y'all number 3 seed? You get ready to get beat by Houston and all this other stuff. And you get embarrassment. And they was just meme city and everything. Oh
my God. And I said, you know what? You said, no what? It's funny because prior to Jordan Poole hitting the game with a shot, out of everybody outside of Charles Matthews, Jordan Poole was the only one that was capable of hitting that game winner. And second, he had hit some game winners in high school.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, if there's before the ball's in inbound, I'm like, if there's anybody I want the ball in the hands of, it's Jordan mother effing Poole.
Yes.
Beeline. It's either Poole or Matthews. I can live or die with that. You know, I don't want you shooting. Sorry, I don't want John. That's sorry. I don't want.
And how the shot went in, it didn't even go around the rim. It just through the net, nothing. Pandemonium. So like 10 seconds, 15 seconds of doubt. I'm just waiting for him to say we're going to review the play, everything, and I'm like, my God, it's final.
Yeah. So Final Four. I have Zags in Illinois, one of my brackets. I have. I'm one of those critics right now that Gonzaga is gonna lose. Everybody has them. They're gonna make another Kentucky run, Indiana, undefeated team, and that. No, they're gonna lose. In my heart, I really believe on all my brackets, I don't have Gonzaga as the winner. I have them actually losing in the Final Four, and it's gonna be a repeat of 2017 when they lost to North Carolina and losing the Final Four. Look, Jalen Suggs, real deal. Probably it's hard to put him over Io, but Jalen's the best guard in the country. But look, I could play in that conference and make a run. Look, I just think at the end of the day,
wow, this is bold.
Let's face it. Look, and I know I'm probably going to get crucially crucified, and I'm
That's
fine.
all right. They're going to leave their comments.
I'm fine. I'm fine. Bring the heat.
Bring the heat.
But let's face it. Gonzaga's undefeated. Look. Yes, they're non-conference. They knocked off teams that they needed to get that they beat. Not taking that. I'm not taking that away from Gonzaga fans. But throughout this year, outside of BYU, they have not faced any adversity this season at all.
Talk to them.
Look, at the end of the day, they haven't been in any games where outside of BYU that you have to scratch and crawl to win. Their conference is one of the weakest in the country. And on top of that, the deeper they make a run, they're going to meet a team. I promise you, they're going to meet a team that's faced tons of adversity, rather it's Kansas, rather it's Michigan, rather it's Florida State, rather it's Alabama. They're going to face a team that's faced some hell of adversity that they know what it takes to get over, and Gonzaga's going to lose. So I'm rooting for at this point, if Michigan loses, I'm rooting for another Big Ten team to win. I'd rather see come back to the conference. And I do believe in my heart Illinois has what it takes to get it done. And I really do believe the city of Chicago deserves this national championship because, man, they've been through some hell in recent years. I mean, let's face it, let's just look at Chicago. I mean, the Chicago Blackhawks, they've been rebuilding the last few years. They haven't won a Stanley Cup in some years. Let's face it, the Chicago Bulls, they haven't been really that good since Tom Tibbs and that D Rose era when they went to the playoffs a few times and lost to the Celtics and Miami Heat. Let's just face it. The Cubs, they went on that incredible World Series run when the first time they won it in centuries. So I really do believe Chicago deserves another championship, especially where the city has been in recent years. They haven't really been a really good city at all outside of downtown. From a poverty standpoint, from an inner city standpoint, they've been one of the worst cities in the country. They've been one of the top-rated crime cities in the country. So I do believe their fans, as well as the city, they deserve a championship outside of any other team. So in one of my brackets, I have Illinois winning 68-61 over Gonzaga. And my other bracket, I have Michigan, of course, winning it all. I mean, let's just face it. It may happen.
That was the one he posted, y'all. It's posted
on that's the one I posted on my Instagram when I got crucified. When I got crucified, I had Michigan beating.
The comments underneath that was gold. They were
absolutely. I'm still receiving some heat from it, but that's okay. I had the Zags. It's March, baby. Best time of the year. I had Michigan over at Gonzaga in the Final Four, and I had Baylor and Michigan, and I have Michigan taking it home 79-72. And then in my last but not least bracket, I actually have Kansas getting to the Final Four against Alabama. Funny thing is, before if there
you should have posted that bracket up because you would have really got destroyed.
The funny thing is, last year, I remember doing a bracket last year because at the time there was a projected bracket. At the time, if it would have been a March Madness, I actually had Kansas win it all last year, and my argument was really well sounded because last year they had one of the most complete teams in college basketball, and on top of that, they were a top 5 team in the country, and their resume last year was incredible. So I do think Kansas makes a run. One of my brackets I've been making a run. So those are my winners: Illinois, Michigan, and then my last one that I have on paper, I do actually have, of course, sadly, I have the Zags winning, but I hope this bracket does not. I hope this bracket does not. Out of all 6 I have done, I hope this one is the one that fails first. So I just think that Gonzaga won't get it done. I really do. I mean, look, I'm not taking away for what the success they had this year. I'm not taking away from what Mark Few is. He's a hell of a coach. I'm not taking away the talent that, lottery pick Jalen Suggs. But I really do believe that they're going to come across a team that's been through some hell this season. And I really do praise Illinois, because Illinois has been through some hell this year and they face some adversity, and I think they can get it done. Okay, let me ask you this before you get into your picks.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious to hear your Final Four, because you did say you have Gonzaga. What in your mind, from a basketball junkie and a fan of the game, that you believe out of the other side of the bracket with both regions down below, what really makes you believe, and I'm not trying to be funny when I say this, from a basketball standpoint, why do you believe Gonzaga is going to go undefeated still and cut down the nets and be another team to win a national championship undefeated since, of course, the Kentucky team a few years ago?
Here's a surprising thing about this, and it's going to shock a lot of people, but this is the only bracket I have them winning. Out of all the ones that I filled out, this is the only one that I have them winning. And it's because some of the points that you said, the conference that they were in, there was not a strong conference. I think that they will face a few challenges on the way of this road to this bracket that I did fill out. I did have Zags, Baylor, Houston, and Texas. I think the first challenge that they're going to face an Oklahoma team that people did put under the radar. I think Oklahoma escapes against Missouri. I think the Zags may see some kind of problem. They're going to have a slow start, possibly against Oklahoma. I think they're going to have, they'll get by Oklahoma, and then from there, another great matchup that I want to see before I believe that they will go and face a very determined, hungry, Shaka Smart Texas team. Is that they will have some problems with Oregon in the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
That's another matchup that they will see. The only blowout that I see happening on their road to the Final Four is the winner of Norfolk State and Appalachian State, which I have Norfolk State getting in there barely over App State, because both of the teams have got some similar disadvantages. So I think it's going to be a low-scoring, close game between both of those 16 seeds going into it.
I agree.
Zags, it's not going to be an easy ride for them if they get to Oregon. Well, I have Oregon on here that they will face, and then they'll face Texas, and I think that will possibly go into overtime.
Interesting.
Yep. And then on here, I have Houston. I have Houston on here. That's going to slip by Oklahoma State. That will slip by Illinois. Like I said, this bracket is absolutely wild now that I'm looking at it.
Absolutely.
But Calvin Sampson, man, talk about the rise of the ashes on Rick Pitino. Calvin Sampson himself, the backstory of Calvin Sampson. And some scandals himself, and
absolutely.
Revamping himself from his coaching in Indiana, and where was he previously at before Indiana?
Man, I haven't really.
It slipped my mind, but he previously coached in Indiana from before he hit to Indiana, and then now in Houston, and just a retransformation, revamping, if you will, of him, and it's the men that he had under there. And we talked about Jordan Poole and that Michigan squad that he did coach, and they were tough going into them. They were a 6th seed at the time, and they played like they were a number 1 seed in that tournament, in my opinion. That whole time they gave Michigan all kinds of fits during that game. So I just think that, they're a surprise team, that they will do surprisingly well. I have them on this one. I just have the Zags winning it in a close one. I have them as 61-58 is this one that I have them winning it. But it's March. Anything can happen. This is the only one that I have them on. I have Michigan in 2 of my pools that I have them cutting down the nets. I have in a couple of them, I have an all Big Ten final because I just think the Big Ten, I do.
Best conference. Well, to answer your question, Sampson, after Indiana, he went to serve in the NBA for about I think he was in the NBA for probably like 5 years. I know he was an assistant. now that you bring it, I know he was an assistant with Milwaukee first after Indiana, and then after he went, I think he was there when James Harden first landed in Houston, and I know he was a Houston assistant for some years. Then he got the Houston job. Right. To answer your question, because we were both trying to figure it out, but it just hit me that wait, he actually went to the NBA before going to Houston.
Right. Okay. I knew he went to the NBA. I didn't know how long that he was there for as an assistant, and you can easily see him going in transformation mode over those times over that time line that he was in the NBA, and then going into Houston. And I heard a lot of people that were that are now more than ever, fans of Houston. And when he was selected as the head coach going into that program, he was dogged through the media of people bringing up his past. And, media can either be your best friend or it can be your worst enemy, especially if you have a scandal.
Simple.
They'll bring up your whole entire Rolodex of stuff that you did and everything else.
They will crucify you.
And he knew that going in there, that he had to go and, the students that he had, the student athletes that he had to buy into what he was selling. And it obviously showed throughout his tenure there. So that's the one sheet that I have, the one that I'm talking to you about. I have.
Give me the other ones. Give me the other ones. I don't want to hear Gonzaga winning it all. I want to hear the realistic ones. Let me hear the other ones. I know.
All right, the other one that I did pull up, like I said, every one of them that is online, but I'm in a pool right now.
Okay.
And I'll talk about this one. Like I said, I have in my championship one. I have Michigan and Illinois. I listen.
That might happen.
Michigan is upset that they, Illinois went in there and stomped on them by 21 points and everything else. I have our boys cutting down the nets. In that one, I have it as a close game. 66-65, actually. I have a 1 point.
Woo! Yeah. Walk off. Okay. I like that.
I think really do. I think that either Brooks or Smith will be the walk off.
Well, you see the thing with Michigan now, as I've been when I was preparing my notes last night, that came up in my mind is that we don't know the certainty or the timetable of when Livers will return. If I had to put my money on it, he won't be there first round, and he probably won't be there second round. But if you, from outside of Livers, with Livers, we're a dangerous team. No doubt about it. Because that's our best player, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Without Livers, we're still a good team. But I think right now we need that first win, because I'm going to speak into existence. That first round win is going to be the difference maker to set us up for a run, because guys like Brown, guys like Brooks, of course, has NCAA experience. He knows what it takes. He's been to a Final Four already. He was part of Beeline's crew. Those guys, to me, in my opinion, have to step up the most.
Yeah.
Because look, let's face it, it's not going to be a walk in the park. And they didn't look that bad against Ohio State, to be honest. Even when we didn't have Livers, and that's a story for another day. But those guys have to step up, because
Brandon Johns Jr. is going to have to step up.
Yep. He's another guy, because you already know what, off the bat, you already know what Hunter Dix is going to bring to the table.
Yep.
You already know what Eli Brooks is going to bring to the table. Those two guys are really the only two. The bench, Terrence Williams. We've seen a little bit of Zeb Jackson recently. I'm not sure as far as the philosophy that Phil Martelli and the staff, Joanne, are coming up with, as far as rotation standpoint. But these guys need to step up and play their best basketball yet, because if we don't, look, I'll be honest, we may go home against LSU. We might just go home. And
again, that's the question marks I have around the game, Monty, is we get to that point, we get to the next round, we face an LSU team that's still, in my opinion, still a little sore of a very good, close 3-point battle. Like these two teams, them and Alabama, were just shooting out of their mind. And I know that those guys on that LSU team is just got a huge chip on their shoulder, because they were just devastated at the end of that game, that there's so many lead changes in that game, and just Alabama pulled it out. And the sadness, the dejection of LSU, that chip is going to go and carry them into this tournament. And
one more team that don't sleep on UC Santa Barbara.
Yep.
They conference champs, another Jersey native. Want to give a special shout out to my guy Josh.
I have them putting Creighton out in the first round.
Beautiful. Look, if you were to ask,
and that's not on just this bracket. I got them on several brackets. I have them out. Again, you and I already talked about Creighton. I don't know.
We're on the same page. We'll see if the plantation workers show up or not. I mean, Josh Pierre, transfer from Temple. He's another guy that's really just recreated himself. I mean, he's a great guard at Roseland Catholic in Jersey. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But him at Temple, he's sort of playing in a shadow. He wasn't really allowed to really bloom as a flower would do until its full potential. And of course, him coming off the bench. I mean, another guy I'm going to root for regardless, Jersey guy. But don't sleep on UC Clinton Bar. They have some good guards. Man, they can give Creighton some hell, because Creighton, we know they got embarrassed. But just getting back to Michigan, as we close out here, showing love to our Wolverines, we got to be ready to go.
Yeah.
From starting
no
five,
slow starts, and got to make
6, 7, 8, 9, 10 on the bench.
Yeah.
Those guys got to be ready, because we're in a position right now where there is no margin for error. Can't have it.
No early foul trouble. You got to make your shots.
Dickerson can't have your early foul trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to be. Look, I'm not saying first round we got to hit a grand slam, but first round we have to.
We got to make a statement.
First round game.
We got to make a statement why they're number one in the East.
And you got to come out. Our confidence has to be another thing, because if we go into round 2 playing LSU, we have to hit on all cylinders, because LSU is a great 3-point shooting team.
Yep.
And let's just face it, we're gonna have our guards gonna have to step up and limit Cam Thomas.
I agree.
Trendon Watford, another stud NBA player. He had 30 points. I'm not really worried about him that much. Cam is a guy that I'm focusing on is because look, he Will Wade gives him the green light to shoot at a high level and to shoot at ease. I mean, look, there's games this year where he shot the ball 22 times.
Yeah.
He has a green light. That's just their guy. Let's just face it. Everybody has a guy that they have the green light to do what they need to do. And Cam's that guy, and we have to stop him. So if we want to get to, make a Final Four run, we're going to need the basketball gods to favor us as we go on this journey. Let's face it. And we might just need a blessing from the Lord. And hopefully we get Isaiah Livers back, maybe rather it's Elite 8, rather Sweet 16, rather it's down in the Final Four.
Right.
Brother, we need you back, man.
Please. Absolutely.
We're a championship team, but to get to that level, that next level, which we have seen all year.
We need all the complete pieces of the puzzle. They can't, you got 1,000-piece puzzle, you got 999 pieces. We need that one piece to complete the picture. Hopefully Isaiah Livers can come back.
One more question I wanted to ask you. Who's, out of everybody, we broke down the bracket from top to bottom, region to region. In your opinion, who's one player that you're most looking forward to seeing in a tournament?
Oh, that's such a great question.
Because, man, there's some talent.
There is some talent. And I was going to say this at the end of it, too, before you dropped your social handles.
Okay.
This senior class and those that possibly will be leaving early, I'm looking forward to the NBA draft more so this year, because there's a lot of talent that is coming out of these colleges, in my opinion. No doubt. I think it's going to be one of these draft classes, and going into the NBA where people are not going to forget their names or Google them and everything else. Everybody's going to know who they are. My one is from UConn. I'm probably butchering his name, but James Bouknight. Seeing what he can do with UConn and how far that Coach Hurley can take this team. He was in the same boat where it was rough. I believe last year Bouknight did have some injuries and he was out for a length period of time. And then UConn just had a horrible stretch of run and everything else. And it looked bleak. And then he just came back with just whole determination and everything else. And UConn did have its moments where it did start slow, but then again, Dan Hurley took this team and his coaching staff and just mastered it game by game by game, and they just continue to evolve. So I'm curious to see how far and how much that UConn is going, how he's going to carry the UConn team. And of course, my runner-up one that I'm always looking at, besides my Michigan squad, is Kofi Coburn from Illinois. Again, big body, solid, under the net. Not great free throw shooter, but somehow it magically turned on when they played Ohio State in the Big Ten championship. He made his clutch free throws. Yeah. So
he's a walking $100 million.
Yes,
he's a walking $100 million player. He can possibly make some money in the NBA, and no doubt about it. I mean, let's see if UConn get a little Jim Calhoun magic and see if they can make a run. So I'm excited to see, and that's really a good pick. Book night. Wow, at all the players. That's get your popcorn ready.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's like I said, it's March. It's exciting. You know, some of these under the radar teams that you and I discussed, and it's going to be exciting to see. And I just look forward to having you back on after it's all said and done.
Can't wait. I can't wait to come back to this platform and say, listen, I told you Gonzaga wasn't going to get it done, America. I told you. I'll be back.
Drop the socials where people can stay connected with you. Tell the listeners, tell the watchers where they can stay connected with you on the social.
Okay. You guys can follow me on Instagram at Monty Moss 3, MONTY_MOSS3. You can follow me on Twitter, Monty_Moss 3. And if you Facebook lovers, I'm not really on Facebook that much, but for all you Facebook lovers, you guys can send me a friend request at Monty Moss. And I definitely show love. I mean, I'm as Miss Marissa can tell you, I'm part of the Gentleman's Corner crew. I want to show those guys some love.
Shout out to the Gentleman's Corner crew.
Shout out to John. Shout out to McLean. Shout out to Paul. Love those guys. We've been on a hell of a run, and as we both are CQ members, there will be.
Shout out to D Nice.
Shout out to D Nice.
1 year coming up. It's going to be
1 year coming up. It's going to be special. So follow me. You guys can follow me in those handles, and don't worry, I'll follow back. I show love. And Miss Marissa, man, I had fun today. Thanks. I'm really blessed.
This was awesome. This was awesome. I had a good time. I mean, to just go.
Yeah.
And who would have known, who would have thought after, a season that was at pause, that this right here, with some of the teams that we were talking about, and if college basketball was going to even be a complete season, a complete thing this year. And it is. And we're so blessed as basketball fans and sports fans in general, that it's actually going to happen. So I'm excited about it. Yeah. Everything kicks off on Thursday. Hopefully everybody, I don't know, they may take advice from us and, agree with us on our picks and everything else or not, drop it in the comments below, subscribe to the channel and let us know. Follow Monty Moss. He's a lot of fun. He's amazing. He knows his stuff. And I appreciate you coming on the podcast. I really do. Thank you for coming on the show.
Before I leave, I'm going to answer this question for somebody. Someone asked me a question before coming on your show. They said if there was, out of all number one seeds, who will be the first to go? I'm going to answer that. It's going to be Baylor. Book it. You got Gonzaga, Michigan, Baylor, Illinois. I think Baylor's going to be the number one seed. Is going to go. Why? Because they're the same team they've been since they were 17-0. And yeah, they had a COVID outbreak, but they're still the same team. They really haven't peaked or escalated and elevated their game to another level. Whereas it was like, okay, they're a dangerous team. They're going to be the first number one seed. Is going to be
first one to go. Okay, this is recorded, so this is a sound bite. So when this happens,
thank you.
I will put it up on my social handles for real. I will make it happen.
In all seriousness, I want to give a special shout out to you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to come on your platform to talk March Madness. I know originally, I was supposed to be on in April, but I really do thank you for giving me the opportunity to come on and talk some sports. I really like your bracket. I'm blessed to be here. I'm humble. I feel honored to be here, to be selected out of so many other sports figure guys that talk sports in the world. So thanks for having me on. You can call me anytime. I'll be happy to come back, and always a pleasure for sure. You definitely know your stuff. You definitely know your stuff. And
I think love learning. I love learning.
You take a lot of Twitter heat. Twitter world, you need to give Miss Marissa some more respect. This woman knows her stuff. I see your Twitter. I see people, the people in the comments, I'm like, oh my God, they're killing her.
Don't you read them? Are they entertaining? They're entertaining
They
to
are.
me, and I'm just like, I'm not even going to challenge this individual because they don't know. So I'll have people challenge them for me.
I was close to jump in. I'm like, don't want to jump in.
No, jump in at any time. Jump in at any time.
Now that I have your approval, I will.
It's like double dutch. This is like, go ahead and just
pick and roll, baby. Pick and roll. I'm setting the screen for Miss Marissa. I'm rolling to the basket. She's gonna give me a bounce pass, and I'm gonna slam that baby home, baby.
Monty Moss for 3.
There we go. There we go.
Thank you, everybody listening and watching United States and around the world. I appreciate you joining in today. And as I always end the show, take care, stay safe.